All right, guys, I got kind of a quick one I want to show you today, but super important. I keep getting dryers in that people have torn all apart. I mean, they came out, they said, oh, everything's there, and just gave it to me because they couldn't figure out why it stopped heating. But it didn't actually stop heating. It's an electrical issue. And so what happens is these things come in and they're not wired in correctly. So I'm going to take you real quick, show you the difference between a 3-prong cord, a 4-prong cord, how they hook up differently, and what you need to look for in your own laundry room before you go buy one, so you make sure you get the right one. A lot of times that's where people end up with issues and they go switching back and forth and then they're not really sure how it goes together. So let me show you real quick. I've already hooked everything up correctly, so I'm just going to show you real quick correctly how it's supposed to be. All right, so in your laundry room, the first thing you want to do is you want to come to your outlet, okay, and check your outlet. This is what's called a 3-prong outlet. The center hole there is just a hole that keeps this faceplate on. That's not actually anything, okay? There's 3 prongs here. You have a hot, and a neutral on this particular style. There's no dedicated ground. That's the difference. You come down here to a 4-prong. Once again, the thing in the middle, that's just a hole for a screw. You have a dedicated ground, hot, and your neutral. That's the difference, okay? So now, starting with this one down here, this is the most common. Anything after 1995 is supposed to have this. If you remodel your laundry room, you're supposed to have this one, at least in my state anyway. So that's what this one looks like. Now, don't be fooled by, if you go to the store, there's one that looks exactly like this, but this is straight here, and instead of a 30, it'll have a 40 or 50 on it. That's for an oven. Make sure you don't get that one. Make sure you get the one that's got the L, and it's actually an L, and it stands for laundry, or maybe somebody just made that up and told me that so I'd remember it, not real sure. But this is what you need. This is a good one. I've got some of these linked in the video also, but we'll start with this one. So how this hooks up, I'll show you how to correctly hook it up. You're gonna have a red, white, black, and green wire. All right, so what does that actually look like on the machine? Let's come up here to the machine. So we have our red, white, black, and green. Those are the 4 wires coming out of the cable here. Now up top, we have, obviously none of this is plugged in, we have a white cable. Now where that white cable comes from, it actually comes from this center post. It's spliced into the top of this wire. Now if we look up here, if you can see it, this is red, white, and black. So you can actually, on the 4-prong power cords, you can match up your colors. White, red, black, and green goes up here. And so what people will do that's incorrect is this white wire will end up over here, and they just stick the green on top of it. That's incorrect. You do not want to have it done that way. Okay, when you have a dedicated ground, then this white returns to the center post. So you're actually gonna have this extra on. That's a lot to put on there, but that's how it goes. Doesn't look right, doesn't feel right when you're doing it. That's why a lot of people miss it. But this is how it goes for a 4-prong setup here. All right, that's what that's supposed to look like. Now let's go over to the 3-prong. All right, now here we are with the 3-prong. Remember how I said you're looking for the L? Okay, because there's also a cord that looks exactly like this that's straight here. Also for an oven. It's the old style for the oven. So make sure you get the L for laundry. All right, this only has 3 wires coming off of it. Okay, so you're just going flat. Here's your outsides and here's your inside wire. So you have hot, and the one in the middle, it's your neutral wire. Okay, so you have hot, and a neutral. Comes up and they just go on just like that. 1, 2, 3. You have your hot, and neutral. Now here's that dedicated ground wire. Now, instead of it being in the middle, it comes out here and serves as the ground wire for the machine now. See that? So what people will do is they'll take this one off and they'll put the other one on and they'll just piggyback the green one right on top of this one. You don't want to do that, okay? Because what happens is when it's not hooked up correctly, you get current moving where it's not supposed to go, and it ends up blowing out some of the sensors on this. It can damage your timer, it can damage your start button, and then underneath here, there's other components, mainly the thermal fuse, which is a safety fuse, will blow out. and it'll just keep blowing out on people. And they'll have the repairman come out and spend, you know, $200-300 just for them to replace a little 5-cent fuse. It's insane. So you make sure you don't do that. Make sure it's hooked up correctly, and you'll avoid the electrical issues you might be running into. So if that little fuse key's blowing on you and you're trying to figure out why, could be that your cable's not hooked up correctly. If you've ever touched this with no shoes on, you shock the crap out of yourself, probably not hooked up correctly. This is how you hook it up, and that's it. I'm not going to go into it anymore. Thanks, guys.